Fucking construction workers. Sons of bitches don't realize I was about to get fucking lost. Trey's this fucking son of a bitch. Hey, no. We're not doing that shit. We're original around here. Oh great, now I'm at college. Hey guys, Heman 1010 here, and today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 favorite games of SNES. Now of course, I'm sure you're all wondering why I'm talking about this instead of the multitude of games. Well, here's the thing. Still on hiatus, still busy with college, busy with adulting and other bullshit, and so with that said, I decided maybe I get this little quick thing done just to give you guys some bit of content to feast off of after about 2 or 3 years of that Superman 64 review. Now, of course, I bet you're also wondering, what happened to Spencer after that little cliffhanger I left you on last time? Well, let's just say he thought he was hot shit kicking my door down, and all I had to do was put on my ninja shit and... Anyways, let's get on to number 5. Number 5, we have... When I was a kid, my introduction to Super Mario World, and the Super Nintendo in general, was when I found my cousin playing it at a birthday party that was going on at his house. I saw it, it looked pretty fun, but I wasn't able to play it for some reason. So after about 1, 2, maybe 3 weeks of waiting, I decided to go to my cousin's house, and he actually decided that we'd go back and forth. But of course we didn't know how to get super far with it and everything until, of course, I saw some YouTube videos showing all the secrets of getting past World 1. And of course, I was really hooked by seeing this game. However, I wasn't able to play the game for myself until years and years later. First time was when I found out what, can't say that word, Nintendo might be watching. And the second time was when I actually was able to get an official cartridge and a Super Nintendo Mini to play for myself at my father's house. Of course, I was around 16 years old by that point. But when I played it, I ended up feeling that same bit of nostalgia that I did before. But as people know, I don't always grade my things based off nostalgia, nor say that games are good because of nostalgia. So why would I have Super Mario World as part of this? What makes me like Super Mario World? Well, there's the graphics, there's the upbeat tunes, there's the upbeat gameplay. I always love me a 2D platformer. There's all the power-ups and all the different atmosphere and the soundtrack and stuff. And eventually, I decided that I wanted to try out Super Mario All-Stars plus Mario World. Because not only does Mario All-Stars plus Mario World have an enhanced version of Mario World with the better sprites, it also has full-on remakes of all the previous Super Mario games that came out on the NES. Not to mention, it also included the Super Mario Bros. 2 Lost Levels, as they said in America, but with enhanced graphics and an enhanced soundtrack. This is still considered one of the best ways, if not the best way, to experience all of these older titles. If not, of course, via the Switch Online, but, you know, there's very lacking things considered. Anyway, moving on. At number 4, we have Kirby Superstar. Now, my introduction to Kirby Superstar was actually with the Ultra port on Nintendo DS, because my mother had gotten me a DSi, one of the nicer things she did, and it came with Kirby Superstar Ultra. This game was really fun as a kid to play over and over again. The only thing I couldn't get past was the arena, and honestly, all the different power-ups that they gave to Kirby, and all the different ways that they decided to make it unique. They used the regular Kirby style, added the power-ups from Kirby Adventure, made it so you had an enhanced moveset, and then each and every game, one was a remake of Spring Breeze, one was Gourmet Race, one decided to make it a complete Metroidvania by having you collect a bunch of shit, and it would actually try to punish you by giving you crappy credits if you didn't collect them. everything. One was Dynablade, where you went through a whole world map to get to Dynablade before defeating the big boss. Then there's Meta Knight's Revenge, Emmy winning, where you just keep on blowing up shit on this dude's ship until he finally has no choice but to give up. And even then, he's not giving up. He's still fighting you as his ship is going down. And then they have the unique measure of having all the different planets, and you have to unlock your copy abilities in a completely different way. You can't inhale the enemies anymore. You have to collect them, and then it's permanently yours, and you scroll through it. Now, of course, it's number 4 because there are some better ways to play it. The DS version that I just mentioned earlier. However, I will say that there is one aspect that this game is better in than it is on the Nintendo DS. And that's the multiplayer. Despite having half of the games and such, and the sprites that some people don't think look as good and possibly dated compared to the DS port, you still get to do your multiplayer on a bigger screen, and it's easier to access, if I'm telling the truth. On the DSi, if you have one copy of the game, you still need a second copy of the game to play the entire picture. And the problem is, even if you both had a game, the second player had to look over to the really tiny screen that you had, and it just wasn't ideal at all. So yeah, the number 4 is due to the remake. However, it does have those little aspects that are better in other ways. Number 3, we have Donkey Kong Country 2. Now, of course, for another history lesson, Donkey Kong Country was shown to me by my cousin, same cousin with Super Mario World. He told me, dude, you really want to play a good game? Here's Donkey Kong Country. And just like Super Mario World, I was really enamored by the graphics and by the gameplay and even the goofy intro where Donkey Kong is dancing. I went to my dad and said, hey Dad, do we have Donkey Kong Country, or can you get me Donkey Kong Country? And he ends up pulling out his Super Nintendo with Donkey Kong Country, Country 3, Mortal Kombat, and Street Fighter 2 Turbo. But of course, this collection was lacking Donkey Kong Country 2. Now, when I was a kid and I was playing Country 1 and Country 3, I thought Country 3 was either a spin-off or a prequel of sorts. I thought Kiddy Kong and Dixie Kong were baby versions of Donkey and Diddy, and Yeah. Anyway, I saw YouTube and I saw that there were Donkey Kong Country 2 clips and everything, and I was trying to find out what this game was. After about 2 or 3 years, when I finally figured out, oh, this is the second game and what we have is the first and third, I asked my dad for this game, and he ended up giving it to me for Christmas, and that was the first time that I had a Super Nintendo game that was actually mine and mine alone. So, of course, my dad and I played it for a bit. My dad raged because it was much different in difficulty and all the puzzle-solving tricks that they had from DKC1. But for me, I have spent years and years and years playing this game because it was the one Donkey Kong Country game, alongside 3, that my father hadn't beaten. He had beaten the first one, and I put myself on the quest to beat all 3. I eventually beat the third game, but when it came to the second one, oh man, it took a lot, but I finally did it, and I loved it so much that I actually ended up going for the extra stuff that would get me the secret ending. Of course, I used glitches and such. I didn't go through all the bonuses and everything. However, the game's atmosphere is all pirate themed, and all the levels and everything, they're unique. They all have different puzzles and such. They even teach you to use the tricks that you could have used in the first one, but they make it mandatory that you learn how to cartwheel and jump in the middle. They give you this enhanced version of Diddy Kong that can just flutter in the air and is just absolutely broken. They give Squawks a more unique and better role than he did in the first game and everything. I feel like this was the definitive experience for any Donkey Kong Country game. Now, of course, I'm hoping that in saying this, that it convinces my friends to play more Donkey Kong Country. However, you know, we got Bonanza out now. It was really hard not giving this game the #1 spot. Chrono Trigger is one of the best, if not the best, RPG of all time. This is the game that gets made when you put together the creative minds of Final Fantasy and Dragon Ball Z. This title ends up tackling the concept of time travel. And without getting into spoilers, the story is absolutely fucking amazing. It has a colorful cast of characters. You got one normal kid who looks like Teen Gohan. You got his 2 friends, one of which is a princess. You got a robot from the future. You got a medieval frog. You got a cave woman. And then you got Android 17 Piccolo looking mother. Anyways, this game has a lot of heart. This game has a lot of soft moments, a lot of difficult moments. It has its parts where you're actually about to cry for the characters. It has a very, very, very amazing soundtrack, and it has all these unique character arcs for each individual character. Now, of course, I bet you're wondering, if I love this game so much, why would it only get number 2? Well, for the same reasons as Kirby Superstar. I feel that the remakes go further into depth than the Super Nintendo port. See, when the Super Nintendo port was localized, there were some translation errors and some things that didn't date well. It got released on the PlayStation 1, and that remake alone ended up improving on a lot of things, just not the loading, according to some people. They even added all these anime cutscenes and showed a bunch of things for all these different alternate endings, which honestly, I think is one of the earliest RPGs to ever do the alternate endings based on how you do it. Now, of course, I could be wrong. There's probably other RPGs before this one that did the same thing. If you don't get everything or do it in the right order, then you get terrible endings. And then there's the fact that there's even added New Game Plus modes for like DS, PS1, Steam, and such. I just think that there are other better ways to play it. But of course, for some reason, this thing doesn't have multiplayer, and neither did its sequel. Anyways, we're going to go on to a few honorable mentions. So, I'm going to be honest here. I don't own a Super Scope, but it is really, really fucking fun to just play Terminator 2 Judgment Day Arcade on the Super Nintendo with a D-pad. Sometimes you can do it by yourself if you know what you're doing and know to collect the power-ups that you need, which I didn't used to know when I was a kid. Or if you have friends over, you can just have fun, literally just aiming the targets, aiming at stuff. Like, this is what a lot of people at the arcades like to feel, when they have those gun controllers and they can shoot at all the different things that are moving around. And with this kind of game, you're able to do it from the comfort of your own home. Terminators everywhere. You're getting a sense of it's the end of the world, and you better lock the fuck in, because if you don't, you are dooming the entire world. And it is nothing but non-stop action the entire time, and you need to know how to limit how you're shooting stuff, and you need to also know to get your power-ups the way you need them, because if you don't, you're going to run out of that ammo fast, you're going to slow down, and then it's game over. Street Fighter II, The New Challengers. Now, of course, you heard me say earlier that I have a history with Street Fighter II Turbo, and that was because my dad, my cousin, and I all loved playing the shit out of this game. Playing as the diverse cast of characters, getting to M. Bison, and then meeting that ending after letting out a bunch of flurry kicks, shoryukens, hadoukens, fucking spin kicks, where they add double the fucking characters, even more stages, an even greater soundtrack because it has more, and even slightly enhanced graphics. This is the kind of game that you definitely want to play for some multiplayer action. But when it's single player and everything, all you really have to talk about is the arcade mode, where you have these kind of cheaty ass CPUs. Anyways, on to number 1. Now, when it comes to my friends and some of the people who know me, if I ain't talking about Shantae, I'm talking about fucking Punch-Out! And of course, since I've mentioned these other arcade games beforehand, I feel like it shouldn't be any surprise that I like the game that literally brought Punch-Out back to its arcade roots. See, the 2 arcade games came out and they had all the different moves and such, the different characters that you could fight against and everything, but then Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! It came out, and it wasn't exactly the same in the matter of you don't have the super punch that you could just keep using and using and using, though of course you had the star punch and such, and if you used it correctly, then it's down. But with this, it is the definitive version of the arcade game, as they brought back literally every arcade character except for Pizza Pasta, and then some. They even added a special circuit in for you and gave you new challenges and patterns to go to, and you had to play this game perfectly to get all the way through this game. Not to mention, there is a hidden multiplayer that was found nearly 20 years later. Anyways, when it comes to Super Punch-Out!, I really love playing this game on Super Nintendo. I've literally sped ran this game for Super Nintendo. I'm on the leaderboard for having an 8-minute run of this game. I've played it that much, and I just really find it cool how they managed to find different ways to bring it back. They even went to the old drawing board of let's make the main character solid colored instead of wireframe, but then made him slightly transparent so you can still see the fighters that you're going against. Not to mention, Gabby J's really fucking funny when he throws out a... Yay! I hope you enjoyed this top 5. I know I've rambled a lot. I know it ain't scripted. And I know it ain't the best thing after years and years and years of waiting. But soon enough, you will get your Soul Calibur, your Naruto Clash of Ninja, and of course, fully fledged Punch-Out reviews. When I get the time to script these out, there's going to be a lot more fun. There's going to be a lot more action. And of course, there's going to be plenty and plenty of Trey. I bid you adieu.